So the power of the same signature, when it is put onto the loan application, creates the same reality. The loan application becomes a promissory note through the banking system. Eventually they end up with what is known as, in their world, a promissory note. The promise to pay, your promise to pay. That's what the signature represents, your promise to pay the bank. And they lodge the promissory note into the bank account. And the €300,000 appears in the bank's account. It has not been transferred from somewhere. It appears in the bank's account. So the moment that lodgement happens, the bank has €300,000 more than it had before the lodgement happened. Now, it's not real money. It's electronic digits that we represent, or they are represented to us as money, but there is no money. In the finance world, it is what's known as fiat money, F-I-A-T. It's a reality in the banking world. This illusion of non-reality is a reality. This fiat money you created, €300,000 now exists because you created it. The bank then have what's known as an asset book. This now exists within the world of the asset of the bank, which states we have. The bank must then open a liability book, which is the book that allows them to balance their accounts, to reconcile everything, to put the double line under it, to say everything is square, nothing is missing. Everything is where it should be. They must open one account that says we have, and one account that says we will not have or we do not have. The liability book says we owe. So the asset book says we have, the liability book says we owe. So they owe what? €300,000. Now if you ask a banker, some bankers, some won't even know this, but if you ask the bankers who seemingly know some things, is it true that the party who provides the capital for the loan must be repaid the capital for the loan? The banker will say, yes, it is correct. You must repay the provider of the capital for the loan. That is me, the bank. However, what we now know is that the promissory note is lodged. You created the €300,000 with the power of your signature in the form of fiat money. The bank owe the provider of the capital the money to repay the capital. Your solicitor gets a check for $300,000 to buy the house. The bank have just repaid you the loan you gave them when you created the €300,000. The debt is settled. That is why you don't truly owe money. But you're not told this. You've never been told. Now, as I was researching this book, I sat down with solicitors, off the record with a judge in his home. I sat with bankers at a senior level. I went into the banks and challenged them face on, and I was told by my own solicitor and many other solicitors and bankers, 100% correct. Cannot be questioned. There is no money. You created an illusion as the promissory note got lodged, and if you didn't wake up to the illusion, the game would simply continue. What happened was that they got so enormous with their figures that it could not be hidden anymore. We began to realize that there was something going on. And part of what's happening, what we call a recession, is just a simply part of how the banks do business. They put it all out, they make it unaffordable, they bring it all back in. So they end up owning the properties in the land, which is essentially what they want. They want to own your property. Any of you notice that they're not doing deals? They won't help you. They won't give you, they won't cut you any slack. They won't, because they don't need you. They just need your property. So they can resell it. Get the money for the sale, mortgage the person who bought it, and then enter back into the game they were playing before this, the fractional reserve banking system. So this is one of the questions I'm asked quite a lot is, why would they do that? Why would they create this money and then not tell you what's happening? The bank don't care about your €300,000. It's nothing, it's pittance. What they care about is the fact that the illusion of 300,000 has been created, which allows them under financial regulation to lend up to 10 times that. So your €300,000 eventually becomes 3 million. Or 2.7 million. They have to keep 10% on reserve. So because you borrow 300 grand, they can lend 2.7 million. And when somebody else lends out or borrows 2.7 million, that then becomes 26 point odd, or 24 point odd million. It's just a numbers game. The reality is you don't owe money, because the money was not there. You created it. The liability book shows, all you've got to do is look at the accounting, track it back, trace it back, look at the paperwork, you'll see it's there. You do not owe money. Now the problem is that the system does not want you to believe this, and does not want to know this, and will not allow this to be exposed. The legal system back up this, the government system back up this, the greater government system of the ECB, the IMF, the World Bank, the Federal Reserve, they're all part of this consciousness. It's their business. It's their business to make money. And in order to make money, they need people like you and me to go and work. So all they do is to create the illusion, and they don't tell you what the illusion is. And because we have been brought up oppressed, we were never strong enough or courageous enough to ask, how does this work? Why does it work that way? And because we've forgotten that we're free, we don't expect anything other than imprisonment and oppression. The imprisonment of the mind, the imprisonment of the pocket, the imprisonment of the belief, the vision, the hope. Now let's move from that for a moment. Let's say that there was actually money in the bank, and the bank did in fact come out and give you a wheelbarrow full of cash to buy your home. Today you would still owe nothing to the bank. Why? For many reasons. Number one, because the bailout was provided. And by the way, in the book, I got some answers from the Minister for Finance in relation to the bailout, and I was delighted to discover that the bailout is in fact only a promissory note. The very same as the one you signed to get your mortgage. The bailout that is bailing out the banks, there is no money. It's simply a promise to pay. There was no money given. There is no money coming. It's just a promise. But anyway, even if there was cash given, you own nothing because the banks were bailed out, even though they weren't. They were. Which means that big hole that the bank had was a big hole of bad debt, yes? A big hole of trouble that they had. And the bailout was the lorry load of concrete sent to fill it in. So the day the bailout came, the bailout that didn't come came, the big hole got filled in, which meant the banks had no debt. And this is a perception. There's a lot of lingo around this that will allow you to change your mind on that, but the lingo is just a game they play to get you to distract from the simplicity of this. And it is the future tax of the people of Ireland that pays off the bailout fund, correct? So all of the debts are gone, including yours. And it's your future tax that pays this new one loan known as bailout. Now there was no bail, just a promise loan. Why else would you not owe money? You don't owe money because money has no value. How can you owe something that has no true value? There was once a time in this nation when it said the bearer can exchange this. The bearer can come into the bank and exchange this for a true quality of gold or a true quality of value. There is no longer anything backing up money in this nation, in this country. Nothing. It has zero value. Other than what? Other than perception. Other than you and I agreeing that it has a value and therefore allowing ourselves to exchange based on that confidence. It is only the value of confidence. There is nothing backing it up. Nothing at all. I often wondered how come, for example, you can go into a bureau de change and you can ask what is the steering rate today, and you'll get one price today, one price tomorrow, and on both days you'll get a different price to buy or to sell. And I thought, who gives it that value? What's the true value? If it can be bought for this, and sold for this, and spent for this, which of those is the real true value? And the answer is they're all real true value if you choose to allow that to be. But money has no real value. There is nothing anymore backing it up. And the other reason why, and one of many reasons why you can fight lawfully and legally the fact that you don't owe money, is the fact that money is only debt. Every time a euro is created, it creates a debt. Because the moment that it's created, it is sold at an interest rate. So if we want to clear all of the world, all of the country's debt tomorrow, and all of that debt equals 100 euro, we have to create 100 euro to clear the debt, but then we have to create more to clear the interest that's added onto the €100. Then we have to create more to clear the interest of the interest that's added onto the 100, and more to clear that interest of the other interest that's added onto the 100. You can never clear debt. The nature of money is debt. Money is debt. It has no value. So you guys are bought into, sucked into, and now dancing merrily in the game of somebody else's creation. And you do not owe money, because even if money had a value, you created it when you lodged the promissory note, and the bank settled it when they gave a check to your solicitor. Now, how does this work? Because a lot of people say, Marcus, that's confusing. I don't get that, but I have my home. Like, what bought the house if the money doesn't exist? The illusion of the money bought the house. And these people are happy. These bankers, these wealthy people are happy for you to have an illusion thinking you're wealthy with a 300 grand home. Because that illusion allows them to enter into the process of creating trillions of dollars that is theirs. So how does it happen? Very simply. The bank gives the solicitor a check. Because people say there's got to be money. How did they do this? There's got to be money. The bank gives the solicitor a check. The solicitor goes where with the check? Back into the bank. It's that simple. They never have to have money to show. Because we all just exchange what's known as financial instruments, and they all go back into the bank. So the illusion of money exists. Look at this, I've got a check for 10 grand. Jeez, I'm a wealthy boy. And I go into the bank with this, and that 10 grand does not exist. And the bank will lodge it into their account, and they'll throw the money up on the computer screen, and then they can write another check on the back of that, and they never have to have real money in the bank. But the only time the bank have to worry is the day we all go in and say, give me it all. Everything that's mine, give it to me now. Of course, there's one other day the bank will worry. What is that day? When everybody says, I've just decided I'm not playing your game anymore. I've just decided that your game and the rules of your game are not helpful to me and my life. And therefore, I'm going to change the rules. Now, a lot of people think, how can you do that? We live in a society full of systems. Well, you can do it. You can do it when you remember that you're free. You see, you're brought up to believe, and from the moment you go to school, 4 years of age, 3.5, 4, 4.5, beautiful, innocent, young, precious, nothing, only a ball of potential, unique, like nobody else in the entire world. Nothing comes anywhere near you the day you wake up on your first day of school until you walk into the system. And you walk through the school gate and you see 200 beautiful children dressed just like you. With their little red jumpers and their little red ties and their little grey pants and their big school bags. And then you begin to realize, maybe I'm just like everybody else. Maybe there's nothing unique about me. And you need to go to the bathroom. Please, sir. Please, miss. On will Callaghan down the market. Neha. She is supposed to be there. So we begin to learn that there are people who have authority and people who don't. And when the authority speaks, we must listen. And it gets reinforced. Every day you step out of the meeting. Step in the line. Don't run in the hall. Who gave you permission to speak? And slowly, 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 the conditioning. Slowly, the conditioning. And then we are led to believe that there is something beyond who we are that has more control over our own destiny than we have ourselves. And we're brought into the world's religion. It's a beautiful story. I was brought up a Catholic. I'm no longer a Catholic. But I was brought up in a beautiful word, a beautiful faith. And it worked. For a while. Until I wanted something different. Until I wanted to be free. Until I wanted to live my own life. Until I wanted to express who I was, where it happened to be according to someone else's idea of who I should be.